Basically, as long as I can remember, I've always felt like, oh, I'm heavier than I want to be. I should try and do something about that. And there's this amazingly consistent pattern of like, oh, I feel kind of heavy. Okay, I'm going to try and focus and lose some weight for a while. And I'll do that for about 2 to 4 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, this is going really well. I'm losing tons of weight. And then it just completely goes off track. And I ended up beating myself up a lot. I can't remember exactly when I came across the first thing about eating skills, but I remember it saying something like, hey, this is a thing that's happening because of a skills gap. It's not that there's a problem with your willpower. There's something structural that means if you diet in this pattern, you're setting yourself up for failure. And I think that was like, oh, so this problem that I thought was with myself and some kind of inherent thing about the way that I behave, maybe that's actually a structural problem that I can solve. Maybe it's not really about exactly what you're eating or exactly how many calories, but more like an approach that means I can break out of this cycle and break out of this thing of beating myself up. I think the guideline that has been most influential has been this thing about plating balanced meals. This thing of like, hey, have a plate of food, make sure it's got some vegetables on, protein will help you be full, fat will help you be full. Try and have these elements and then eat until you are actually full. And that solved so many problems for me. I can't stress how much simpler it feels, where it's not like, oh, did you eat enough vegetables? Did you do this right? Did you do that right? I had a super stressful week at work and we had this big launch that I was doing. Normally in this kind of week, I would have gotten through piles of chocolate, right? I would have been super stressed out and just kind of nibbling at things to make me feel better. And I just didn't get hungry. And this was crazy to me. Just with a bit of planning, I realized I wasn't hungry at all this time. I was stressed out and I needed a break, but I never actually wanted to go for a snack most of the time. I think this is the first time in my life doing this program that my weight has stayed stable. And so this thing of like letting go, like, hey, I'm just going to try and do this. I'm not going to try and track what I'm eating. I'm just going to follow these guidelines and see how it goes. And suddenly this immense freedom of like, oh, I can do that. And this is fine and it's not stressful. It's not hard work. I don't know. It was this real breakthrough of like, oh, I don't have to be stressed about it. I can eat food that I like and I can, take pleasure in food, right? I think this has been one of the mindset shifts throughout the whole program as well. I'm realizing, no, the goal is not to eat less. The goal is to like feel comfortable and the goal is to choose how much you want to eat and to do that. The target is not a smaller number on the scale. The target is like, oh, am I happy in my body? Can I do the activities that I want to do? Is this working out for me? Do I feel comfortable and happy and in control around food? And that seems like, yeah, if that's going well and the scale goes down a bit, that's nice, but it's not the thing to be. And I think that was, to me, the mark of real success for the program was the fact that I finished it and then I could use those skills. These eating skills are just part of the way I approach food. I think that is a much more peaceful way to go about your life. And it's definitely made me feel a lot less unhappy and stressed to kind of apply that both with food and with a lot of other things as well. It feels much easier to be like, oh, actually, we're going pretty well. Like me and my body, we're doing a good job.